Figure it out!
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series and is intended to aid the Dreamcast and gaming community. Hey guys, I apologize for the shaky camera work. I'm not on a tripod. As you can see, I've got a bunch of stuff here and I just really can't bother with a tripod right now. I apologize, so please bear with me. This video comes as a special request from Raymond, who I have mentioned multiple times because he sent me a bunch of awesome stuff, and one of the only things he asked for was that I show all of this stuff at once, so I'm totally going to do that. I've done separate videos on every single thing here, so if you're curious about any one thing, you should go check out those separate videos. But here we go, all this stuff at once, right now. Okay, so first, this is my Katana Edition Dev Kit. This is the older style Dev Kit. I bought this myself on eBay. It came with its original box, which apparently they send it to Sega employees in, or, you know, because look, it even says Sega on the box. So I'm totally not I'm not getting rid of this anytime soon. It has original Japanese Dev Kit software. That's version 1.42, and that's version 2.00. Both probably completely worthless because I believe SDK 12 or maybe 11 was the last one ever released. So those are ridiculously out of date and totally unnecessary. And this is he gave me a Xerox manual, which is mostly useless because it's in Japanese, but it has a little bit of handwritten English in there. So yeah, that just told me like what each region code is. But again, you want more information, there's a video on that. Here's my second dev kit. I got this for free because I bought this. This thing, well, I'll get into that later, but I bought that thing. And after I bought it, the guy was like, hey, I've got this thing, I don't know what it is, it doesn't appear to work, do you want it? All you have to do is pay shipping. And I was like, hell yeah. So I bought this thing, or I got the thing, I should say, and I made it work by updating the flash drives, or the firmware, by flashing it. I don't mean the dirty kind of flashing, the good kind. Software flashing. You all have dirty minds. Anyway, so I got this thing working, and now I have a second dev kit, a more modern style dev kit, if you want to call that more modern. It's just newer than this one. But anyway, yeah, and look, more software, as I pointed out already. So it's not more. It's the same stuff. I kind of tricked you. No, I tricked myself. Shut up, Adam. Okay, now, over here, I've got this, this thing. I got this from Raymond. This is a X Gd Rom Duplicator. Its sole purpose, as I can tell, is to just clone Dreamcast games. It may trick you into thinking it's a dev kit. It is not a dev kit. It would connect to a GD-ROM writer, which I'll talk about in a moment, and it would rip games through its drive, and they would store them on its hard drive, and then it would burn them through this thing. It would use a blank GD-ROM like this, or GDR, sorry. Yeah, GDR, gigabyte disk recordable. And it would, there's a manual back there on how the whole thing works. Yeah. And so the GD writer, as you would expect, it's like a CD writer, pretty much the same idea, except it specifically uses this type of format, the gigabyte disk recordable that Sega made up. And it would connect to there, and then these two things could operate completely by themselves, and they wouldn't need a computer. Or you could connect this thing to one of those, and it would this thing would still work the same way, but you'd have to connect one of these to a computer, and then the computer would tell these things, hey, it's cool to go burn that game. And then this thing would be like, okay, sweet. And then it would tell the GD writer and be like, all right, dude, I'm going to burn a disk. And then it would spit out a burned GDR, which, again, this one's blank, but, you know, it would make a burned one. And they would only work if you had a System Disk 2 to play it on. You could put that in as a boot disk, then it would play the GDR. Onto this thing. Now, I bought this. I've done, like I said, I did a video on this thing. Also, like, I've done a video on everything. But I did a video on this where I thought this was something completely different than what it actually is. What it actually is just some sound development hardware. And it's this thing that's attached to a Dreamcast, but it's like attached hardcore. It's screwed on. It's not coming off. But this is just a Japanese Dreamcast with some sound development hardware attached to it. And I have the Macintosh-based software here, as you can see. Just a blue CD. And then over here I've got PC software, which is still sealed, but that's in the case. This probably uses like Windows 98. I don't know. Whatever. I can't program, so it's of no real use to me, but it's just cool. Now, onto this. Raymond sent me this, and he sent me that. And, well, he actually also sent me this, too. He sent me both of these. I mentioned that, but I forgot to mention that Raymond sent me this as well. Yeah, this is kind of a strange piece, because it's designed to program controllers and program memory cards But the memory cards are a format that don't exist. Like, it was designed, clearly you see slot 1 and slot 2. They were thinking VMUs. Those are not VMU ports. A VMU would not connect to that. They obviously abandoned that type of port in favor of what became the VMU. And it uses a Sega Saturn ports on front. You can see here is Sega Saturn 3D controller, which, wow, doesn't that look very similar to a Dreamcast controller? Do you know why? The theory is that Sega was originally designing the Dreamcast to be not only backwards compatible with the Saturn, but to also use the same ports, the same controller ports, like the way Sony did with the PlayStation 1 when they went to the PlayStation 2. They kept the same controller ports. They modified them just slightly. I think still that a PlayStation 2 controller wouldn't work on a PS1, but a PS1 controller would still work on a PS2. I think Sega was probably going to do something very similar, and that way, you know, you could carry your Saturn library over. But then probably Sega of America said, don't do that, because the Saturn was only a hit in Japan, and Americans, Canadians, Europeans, all of them, no one outside of Japan is going to want to pay extra money for the Dreamcast for the, shall we say, privilege or benefit of playing Saturn games, because Saturn didn't do well anywhere other than Japan, which I would have liked it. I think that would have breathed new life into the Saturn, because the Saturn, I think, was just got a really bad rap historically, and it really didn't deserve it. But anyway, yeah, so this is basically a piece of hardware for a system that never came to be. And it has no real use because it has a proprietary plug on the back that would connect to one of those, but I have no such cable for it, so I can't. This truly has nothing it can do. It's just kind of awesome to have, as far as I know. Maybe there's some other thing that it does that I don't know about. Whatever. Now, this is another piece of sound development hardware. It's very similar to this, as I understand it, except that it's the older version, doesn't have a Dreamcast attached to it. It would just connect to a device like that, and you would use it to program sound. And it has cool buttons on it, and I like pushing this big button, this green one, because it goes in and it goes out, and it looks cool. But it also has this red button that I wouldn't knock. It's cool, it's just not quite as cool. And then over here you have Scsi cables, which is how you connect most of these things to each other. In fact, that's how you would connect any one of these things to each other, is through an Scsi cable. I've got a super teeny tiny one. I've got a moderate length one. I've got a long one. And then I got a very specific one. This one connects to the back of the soundbox thing, because the soundbox thing has this weird, ridiculous port on it, which only this thing can fit into. So clearly it was intended for that. So there you go, guys. That is my Dreamcast development hardware and software collection, and it comes to you as a request of Raymond. So thanks everybody for watching, and Dreamcast, hell yeah. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe if you so desire. However, we'd really appreciate it if you'd check out our other videos that are of a higher production caliber. Thank you.